I've been compulsive, obsessive, a little paranoid since I've been a kid. In fact, in my high school yearbook, I noticed that my nickname was Nervous. I think my mother used to say, Nervous from the service. That was before I went into the service, so I've been nervous before that. Anyway, like I say, a little paranoid. Now it's not bad to be a little paranoid, because it keeps us from going into combat zones. I mean, I'm from Chicago, and there are combat zones. Being a little paranoid keeps you out of them. Okay, and anybody that comes from a big city knows there are combat zones. Stay out. Okay, so a little paranoid is okay. A lot more than a little is not so good anymore. Okay, another thing about me, I was always looking for the easy way out of things. Not to put out any effort, just take the easy way. For example, after I got married, and I've been married for a number of years, I decided I needed to go to a shrink. Okay, so because I thought that would be the easy way out. Rather, they'll give me a couple pills, a couple aspirins, talk to me for a half hour, one time, say, okay, take the 2 aspirins, you're sane now. Okay, so I go to my wife and I tell her, I think I need to go to a shrink. So she's thinking, I'm sure she's thinking, because she said this afterwards, all I needed was a good kick in the butt and I'd be okay. But she humored me and she said, okay, go for it. So I got named a recommendation. So one guy I went to is a psychiatrist. I picked him to go to. I figure I may as well go to the one that has more dealings with the mental cases, a psychiatrist. Now I want to say this, if you need a psychiatrist or a psychologist, you should go, okay? Because you could get help from them, okay? You should go. Me, I just needed a kick in the butt because I was paranoid, a little compulsive obsessive, and most of all lazy. I didn't want to put forth any work on my own to get better, not to get better. I wasn't a mental, not mentally things, but I just needed to work on not being so much the way I was. Now, all I needed, like I said, was a kick in the butt. But my wife said, okay, go for it, try it, So I make an appointment to see this guy, psychiatrist, and I go see him, and now I'm expecting like they see in the movies. You see, you go in the office, you see a couch, My vision was I lay down on the couch, I close my eyes for a while, maybe nod off, catch some Z's. Either that or maybe dangles a watch in front of me and it goes back and forth and he hypnotizes me. I figured that's what psychiatrists do. So I go and I don't see a couch there. I see a couple of chairs, like easy chairs. So I sit down in one, he sits down in the other. He's got a pad to write down things, or at least I think he's writing down things. And he looks at me and smiles and shrugs. Okay. Well, what do? I look back at him and smile and shrug. Now he gives me the look like, okay, say something. He gives me this kind of thing. No, say something. And I don't have anything to say, so I think, well, I got to think of something to say to this guy, but I don't have anything to say. So I'm thinking maybe I should bring up things from my childhood, and then he will say to me, okay, you are the way you are because of what happened in your childhood, okay? So I'm trying to think back what happened in my childhood, and I can't remember anything, okay? So I told my wife about it afterwards. She says, plenty must have been going on if you can't remember what happened. In other words, maybe I'm trying to block out all that stuff. Anyway, so the one thing I did remember, or I seem to remember, was when I was about 4 years old, I peed on the living room floor. Okay, I didn't pee on the floor because I had to go to the bathroom and I took off for the can and couldn't get there, so I just let loose wherever I was. No, that didn't happen that way. I just decided I'm going to pee on the floor. I can't even begin to tell you what my mental state was at the time. Okay, but I told him that, and he just smiles and shrugs and acts like he's writing down things. Now, maybe he was, okay. But I got to think maybe he was playing Connected Dots or Hangman's Butcher, whatever that game was, So After I sit with him for like 40, 45 minutes, and basically he's smiling and give me this kind of stuff, and I'm smiling, give him that kind of stuff, I don't have anything to say to the guy. So we get finished with 40, 45 minutes, and he doesn't give me 2 aspirins. He doesn't give me hypnosis. He doesn't lay me down on the couch to sleep, put me under or whatever it is, All he says to me was one thing: see you next week. A double bummer. I expected the aspirins, the couch, the hypnosis, nothing. See you next week. Well, okay, I figure I'll go see him again next week. So I go see the guy next week, same thing, go in the office, we shrug, we smile, I shrug and smile, and he's waiting for me to say something. I have nothing to say to this guy. Now I'm thinking to myself, okay, I gotta figure out things to say. So I just make some dribble, some nonsense. So at the end of the 40, 45 minutes, same thing. See you next week. Now I'm thinking to myself, it's very excruciating. In fact, when I pull up in front of his office, I got to motivate myself to get out of the car to go up there. So I go up to his office because I got the appointments to see him. I guess I could have pulled the plug and quit, but I figured, well, I got to give it a chance. So I go in again, and every time I go in, it's the same thing. The shrug and the smile, and I shrug and smile. Now it's getting very excruciating. Sit there try sitting someplace for 30 seconds, a minute without saying something when somebody expects you to say something. So now I'm trying to figure out, maybe I should make up things to say. So I'm thinking about these things, about making up things to say, and this guy's probably thinking that after all these years of training as a psychiatrist, going to school, being self-analyzed, paying for his education, he's got to be sitting across from this fool that's coming up with all this nonsense, this dribble, and that's probably going through his mind. My mind, I don't know what the hell to say. I'm making myself, if I wasn't crazy before I went, I'm crazy now because I'm trying to make up things to say to this guy. Anyway, after about 6 months, I pulled the plug on him. I just couldn't take it anymore. I didn't have any more shrugs and smiles in me. Okay, so I pulled the plug on him and we stopped seeing him. So, but I was relentless, okay? I wasn't going to give up. I heard about this lady who was a psychologist that did this biofeedback, okay? So I figured I would try that. So I go in and see her, and what she does was, she hooks me up to this little machine, okay, with wires. I gotta tell you, I must have looked like a complete moron with this little machine, looked like maybe a small version of a pop-up toaster, with wires hooked up to me. And she would feed me some stuff, and based on my answers, the machine would tell her if I was sane or not. I mean, the machine probably put on a screen, you're dealing with an imbecile. Cut this fool loose, Anyway, that didn't seem to help, but I didn't give her 6 months. I cut her off right away. Not right away, I went to see her a few times. And I'm lucky this machine didn't short circuit because I could have been fried sitting there. But again, if you need a psychiatrist, you really need one, go see one. Me, I didn't really need one. So after all this nonsense, the biofeedback, the psychiatrist, my wife just gave me what I needed. A kick in the butt and shape up or ship out. That was all I needed. And I still, it cures me for a while, but I still go off the deep end sometime and I start ranting and railing with her. She gives me the kick in the butt and the shape up or ship out, and I'm good to go for another few months. The shrug and the smile, what can I tell you?